I think that allowing for the book being, after all, a parody, something like 1984 could actually happen. This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. The sex instinct will be eradicated. We shall abolish the orgasm. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
What's going on, everyone? It's Nina Infinity. Welcome to my channel on this Wednesday. This is Breaking the Narrative, and I have here with me none other than Mr. Robert Barnes back again. Hi, Robert.
Good. How goes it?
It goes. I was just telling Robert about how incredibly depressed I am, but it goes. And I want to wish everyone a happy Persian New Year, which is coming up very shortly. You wouldn't know that, if you looked out there in the news, but the Persian people are celebrating as we speak. We are celebrating the new year coming around. And there's much to talk about, Robert. So I'm really glad that you're here because I know that, a lot of people in your camp right now are not quite very popular. Let's just say that. They're not very popular. I think things are rapidly changing every day. And I mean, do you feel that too? Because I feel like this is a little bit different than what happened in previous wars, like with Iraq and Afghanistan and things like that. I feel like everything is just so much more rapid right now. Do you also feel that way?
Well, I think if from a U.S. public opinion perspective, a broader study, Richard Barris and I, People's Pundit Daily, did a review of the history of American war politically and how it tends to work. And usually the combination is you build up to the conflict. The country's usually split at the time the conflict starts. Then there's a rally around the flag effect where people become, taken in by the government propaganda, by the existence of the war. The justification becomes, hey, now that we're in a war, you have to support it. It's patriotic to support it. You're supporting the military and the soldiers by supporting it, so on and so forth.
The troops.
That usually starts to wear off as the progress of the war doesn't attain the objectives that were could have been popular. And the adverse consequences for the war start to aggregate. The U.S. in particular, contrary to conventional wisdom out there, has long been opposed. The country was founded on not going to foreign wars, not getting involved in foreign entanglements, not going abroad, searching for monsters to destroy, in the well-known words of John Quincy Adams, the 1776 speech in honor of July 4th, many years ago, towards our founding. President George Washington warned about both allies and adversaries getting entangled in foreign affairs, foreign policies. You could read Washington's farewell address, and he warns exactly what's going on with Israel at the moment in terms of U.S. Over-involvement with it, and all the way through. And so you look at, there's really no American war that has rebounded to the political benefit of the party that started it, whether you're talking about World War I, even World War II. right after World War II ended, the most popular war in American political history. What happened in 1946? The Democrats got kicked out of the House and Senate en masse. So the Churchill lost in the UK. You know, you flash forward a little bit. Lyndon Baines Johnson utterly destroyed the Democratic coalition, one of the biggest landslides in history in 1964. And what would happen after that? Republicans would win, I think, 20 of the next 24 years of presidential control. The same with, Poppy Bush, 91% support for that war. Within a year, he was thrown out of office and got the least amount of support of any incumbent in more than a century. Bill Clinton decides to go into Serbia, Somalia, Sudan. What happens? Al Gore loses to George W. Bush, campaigning on not being the world's policeman. George W. Bush then betrays that promise, goes into Afghanistan and Iraq. What happens? Democrats win massive margins in the House and the Senate and the White House. 2008, Barack Obama promising to be the peace president, winning the primary against Hillary Clinton for his opposition to the Iraq war. And then he goes into Libya and Syria and doesn't fully withdraw us from Afghanistan. So then Donald Trump wins as the peace president. And in his first term, could credibly say he started no new wars. Now, he tried to get us out of Syria, but didn't. Try to get us out of Afghanistan, but failed. But you could fairly say there was no new wars under his watch. First time that had happened since the Cold War. And then, but there was enough machismo talk that the anti-war vote didn't trust him in 2020. He loses the election in 2020, mostly on his willingness to go along with lockdowns and other things early on in COVID. Then he wins back office in 2024 because Biden has said, hey, I'm not going to be the chaos guy. All he does is bring about chaos with the Israeli strikes in Gaza, the further destabilization of Syria, and then the war in Ukraine. Trump wins on the peace presidency, putting together the platform that included J.D. Vance, a critic of foreign wars, who said we would not go into Iran, for example. The Tulsi Gabbard, long been a peace advocate. Robert Kennedy.
What happened to her?
Anti-war advocate. Joe Kent, long been an anti-war advocate, as a man who served overseas and lost his wife to overseas conflicts. So then for the first 3 or 4 months, the administration looked like it would go that way. And then what happened is by the summer, it would be flipped. And Trump, with the Epstein files, came a complete, new direction of Trump, which was the first buildup to a potential Iran regime change war. A bunch of the sort of OG MAGA coalition, like Charlie Kirk, like Matt Gaetz, like a bunch of us, lobbied against that and were ultimately successful at Trump not escalating into a regime change conflict, because he said at the time it would result in chaos. But once Charlie was dead, the most important anti-war voice close to the president, outside of J.D. Vance and others, was gone. And the buildup happened all over again. But historically, by having been through this, what's unique about this is, when I was a kid protesting the first Iraq war, there was almost nobody who agreed. It was all, you're anti-patriotic, you're anti-American, you don't understand, all that jazz.
I remember I was there.
Yeah, exactly. So I
had sparkling signs at the embassy, like in Vancouver. We made signs, and I was so young back then. We went to the embassy, like in Canada, and we were like, no wars. And we really believed we could make a difference back then.
Yeah, same with the second Iraq war. It was more controversial and never had the same level of support, but it still had broad support in 2003 and 2004. And so most of the critics were quieted for a year or two until the wheels came off. So from my perspective, the amount of attacks is actually less than normal. And normally you would be completely written off. You would be described as anti-patriotic, anti-American, anti-soldier, don't understand particularly if it's your party that did it. But even if it didn't happen, half of the Democrats voted for the second Iraq war. So infamously Hillary Clinton cost her the presidency, that vote. But at the time, she thought it guaranteed her the future presidency. Yeah. So politicians misread the short-term reaction. What's astounding about this war It was the least popular war at the time it started. And even 2 to 3 weeks in, with massive propaganda by the Murdoch machine, whether it's New York Post, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, a lot of the talk show hosts, almost all of MAGA intimidated or bought off in terms of influencers online.
Twitter bots, like massive Twitter bots.
Massive Twitter bot campaign, backed by a combination of Israel and the puppet king, the fake Shah of Iran, who even bombarded one of my polls. He showed up in replies. This guy's such a joke. And the fact that Americans believe that it's just, well, what has struck me to a degree is that it's two things. One is it's still an unpopular war. 2/3 of the country still opposes it. Trump, no matter what he does, no matter amount of fake news he propagates, no matter how much he pretends it's AI showing that this is failure, no matter how much he contradicts himself day to day or within the same post in the same day, that he cannot convince the American people that this war is for their safety or security. You can't have promise after promise, broken after broken. Every single president now, since the end of the Cold War, has broken their promise to the American people to deliver a peace dividend. Every single one. At some point, the whole system's going to come crumbling down because you're going to lose institutional credibility amongst your populace. You're going to have what you're seeing in parts of Europe already, a complete fracturing of the two major parties in the United States. Probably long overdue. But so to me, to a degree, I've been surprised that there's even people out there who are willing to buy all the boomer con slop and buy into some of I'll get attacked on crazy things. Like I pointed out that the Gulf states are mass censoring any information about the success of Iranian strikes. So you have to go to independent media sources outside the U.S. to get any degree of accuracy as to what the heck is happening. And I had people attack me saying, well, that's not happening. What are you even talking about? And it's like, folks, you can just go to the government's own website. Israel is publicly saying you can go to jail if you publish any videos from any of the impacts of the conflict. The Gulf states
the Gulf states are now saying
absolutely.
that.
They're
Some
bragging
of them are
about,
saying you can die. Like
they're bragging about you can get arrested and give something the death penalty. This is not some secret coup, the news out. There's some fake propaganda. So to me, I think this war will turn out to be the most unpopular ever waged. And it has what's extraordinary is you have a guy who built the biggest, strongest peace platform and peace mandate in modern American history. And he's going to wage the dumbest war in the history of the United States with the worst possible consequences. And it is just incredible. But it shows, Professor Mearsheimer, Scott Horton, other people. I'm not going to give certain people credit that they want me to give credit to. Certain people that obsessively hate over the Jews in general. Sorry, not buying it.
Sure.
So just because they bumble and stumble into accuracy about Israel doesn't mean all their other theories are right. But Professor Mearsheimer, he's been the biggest 20 years ago. He said the Israel lobby is a massive risk to American geopolitics. And he's a realist. He doesn't have a bone in the fight either way. He was like, you can't let a small country hijack you as a great power without sabotaging that power over time. That was his main point. It wasn't an anti-Israeli point. It was just, this is how the Israel lobby is operating. Yet this tiny little country that was only formed in 1948 that pretends to its Christian supporters it's somehow the inheritor of something from 2,000 years ago, which is utterly absurd. But putting that part aside, that you have them. The only reason Israel exists is because of Britain and the United States. Without it, Israel wouldn't even exist as a country. And yet, instead of being thankful for that, they've decided to hijack that power to remove all rivals from the Middle East with one disastrous war after another, after another, after another. And their biggest, most disastrous war they ever thought of was going into Iran. And even Poppy Bush knew not to do that. Even Bill Clinton knew not to do that. Even George W. Bush knew not to do that. Even Barack Obama, even Joe Biden, dementia Joe Biden knew not to do that. How Donald Trump...
Hold on, Robert. The only reason that Biden didn't do that is because Obama was running the show. That was his unofficial third term. Everybody knows that it was actually Barack that was kind of running the show behind the scenes. So it was technically it is another Obama decision, I think. Like
I mean,
it's my theory that
even Kamala Harris, I think she might have got us in a war with Russia, which might have been worse, but the would have been not this dumb. And so the degree, I mean, Trump, contrary to what he's telling people now, he was specifically warned by the Pentagon that everything that's happening would happen. That in terms of militarily, logistically, that the Iran would be able to attack the Gulf states, Iran would be able to shut down the Straits of Hormuz, Iran would be able to attack Israel, and that we would not be able to prevent them from doing it.
I'm a little bit confused about it though, Robert, because you hear mixed news about that, like if he was told or if he was not told. Like, if you listen to him for a minute, he'll say, I was told and I decided to ignore that and do whatever I wanted. And then on the other side, like 5 minutes later, he'd be like, nobody told me that. I was surprised as anybody that Iran acted the way they did. And I think that's actually more close to the truth, considering that when they killed in his first term Soleimani, and they expected, and then they received information on where and when Iran will hit and what they will hit, so that there's no kind of like back and forth. Iran had to show like some type of strength, that we are going to answer that killing or whatever. Which I have a theory that basically the Iranians had kind of like sold out Soleimani to begin with, because he was a hardliner. He was coming after a lot of those guys as well. So they actually didn't want a war. If Soleimani was alive right now, it would be a much more crazy war, because he wanted war with the states and Israel. So this would be a totally different ballgame if he was still around. And I think that because of that, I think it's just because of that reaction, Trump expected that it was going to be a similar type of reaction, but things have drastically changed. And if you start killing off the leadership, that's the other thing that I think they just don't understand how Iran operated in that sense. Because I mean, I don't know what their intelligence is telling them, or if they're telling them what they're supposed to tell them, but it was that, like, it's interesting because they keep talking about 47 years, like this has happened for 47 years. But the one thing that they won't mention to you is that, yes, but Iran's also been preparing for this for 47 years. They've expected the United States and Israel to do this for 47 years. They have contingencies and plans for if this should happen for 47 years. Like if Khamenei should die, what is going to happen? Who will be the person that takes over? Should all these generals die, who will be the person to take over? They have plans. They have war plans for years and years. They're now, dusting off the old shelf and being like, okay, now it's time to do all this. And the moderates were telling them for the longest time. One of them, who was killed like yesterday, they were telling them for the longest time that this isn't going to happen. Like, it's just not going to happen. We're going to negotiate a deal. And the hardliners were always like, no, it is going to happen. These guys are crazy. The US and Israel are crazy and they want to kill us all. It is going to happen. And that's why we have to be extra crazy, because they're going to be crazy and they're going to come after us. And it's always been this kind of back and forth within Iranian politics itself, that like, are they going to be crazy and come after us or not? And for the longest time, the answer was no. Like they really didn't think it was going to do it. They really didn't think that Trump was going to actually follow Israel's plan into ushering about the Armageddon, which I think is actually a lot more to do with what's going on right now. This is a lot more of a holy war than people want to admit, I think, especially when it comes to Israel's incentives and what Israel's demands are versus the United States.
Well, and Israel's geopolitical interest is not in a strong, peaceful, democratic regime in Iran. It's for there not to be a regime in Iran.
Yeah.
It's not their form of regime change is to overthrow the government, destabilize it, make it one big, huge shithole that cannot rival them. And if people have doubts about it, just look at how the Israeli plan worked in Iraq, Syria, Libya, Lebanon, and Gaza. At this point, you have to live in a fantasy land to not recognize this is what Iran is up to. When Netanyahu's out there saying, we just want the people to rout, that's just a BS PR cover. That isn't what they want. That's why they keep taking out people that were, as you pointed out, within the regime, moderates. The ones that were less moderate, at least in terms of willingness and eagerness to use kinetic means to get to engage in a global agenda. And Americans have mostly been Americans are the most propagandized minds in the world. And it's because what I learned when I was in Cuba and other places and talked to people that used to live in the Soviet Union, the censorship regimes, overtly censorship regimes, actually lose credibility with their public. I mean, I'd meet people in Cuba, they believe like the craziest version of their own leadership that's the most hostile, and the craziest, most naive, idealistic version of the U.S. was fantastically rich. They went to the U.S., they would all be fabulously rich. They would all be super bright, all that kind of thing. Because they were censored and controlled, they didn't believe anything their government told them. By contrast, because we have the illusion of choice here in the U.S., the gatekeeping is more sophisticated and nuanced in the way it's done. The censorship is often, not always, but often more subtle in its efficacy. Americans think they're well informed when they would fail an elemental geography test compared to most people around the world. You ask most Americans to figure out where Iran is on a map, 90% of them wouldn't be able to.
Well, the ironic part about that too is, Robert, that Trump is the one that kind of exposed the fake news media to begin with, like, during his first term and everything like that, like fake news and all this stuff. And now it's like, I feel like everything has just come full circle, which is so strange. Like, they were talking the other day, I saw that Trump was going off about how Iran is using AI and not to believe anything you see, especially coming from the, New York Post, because they're using AI to show that the support for the regime is extremely intact, which it is. But then you have this whole drama right now about whether Bibi is alive, and literally every single video that they're putting out within the Bibi official account has been just completely bombarded with comments of this is AI, this is fake, this is AI. What do you think? Do you think Bibi is alive?
Yes, but I think he's in hiding because Bibi doesn't want to have happen to him what he's been doing to everybody else. Right. Which is, let's call it, it's assassinations. It's a murder campaign. That's what it is. Some people say, Barnes, not a war, so it can't be a war crime. Not recognizing that almost per se makes it a war crime. Because if you don't have the justification of war, then it's just flat out murder, and you have no justification for it at all.
That's crazy.
I went through all the BoomerCon slop with all the prior wars, but I was impressed that some percentage of those people still regurgitate it. Like people who are suddenly saying, Iran declared war against us in 1979. It's like, really? How did I miss all of this in all the history texts? Where can I find all the evidence of this? Or, everybody knows Iran's behind all the terrorism, including ISIS. And it's like Soleimani was the number one adversary to ISIS. We didn't take out ISIS.
Really, it hurts my soul, because I'm like, dude, we took out ISIS. The Iranians took out ISIS in Syria, and it's so crazy because the U.S. were we're gonna take out Al Qaeda, and then they're still Al Qaeda's still around. They're still ruling.
We invited the Syrian president, who's a founding member of Al Qaeda and Al Nusra, and ISIS right into the White House, so Trump could show off his perfume. Which, by the way, that was probably the beginning of Joe Kent wanting out. His wife died connected to that.
With the ISIS.
So that guy, a head chopper extraordinaire, the king of the head choppers, being escorted around the White House and the Oval Office by President Trump is just humiliating to anybody who actually cares about opposing terrorism.
That's insane.
And it shows the complete, utter hypocrisy of the Trump administration. So all the myths that people have out there, Iran has not been at war with us for 47 years. Iran is not. If you go through and find all the people doing terrorism, what you're going to find is they're usually opponents of Iran, because they're usually Sunni Islamic radical groups who believe in killing Shia as a matter of more than they do attacking Israel or the United States.
Yes.
So
most people don't understand these things, like the Sunni and the Shia. There's different types of Muslims.
Exactly. That's very simple. The number of people that started buying into that, hey, Islam is now a radical threat here in the United States overnight. It's hold on a second. The same Islamic voters, Muslim voters that Trump sought out approval of in 2024 and got a bunch of votes in Dearborn, now they're all secretly anti-American and wanting to blow us all up. when not recognizing the connection of the Israeli lobby suffering in the U.S. political opinion. So suddenly wanting a new threat to everybody to get all jazzed up about. It's not to say that there's no aspects of Islamic radicalism that is a threat. It is to say it is by no means the paramount threat to the United States. The paramount threat right now to the security of the United States and the peace of the United States. The leading sponsor of killing civilians around the world, other than the United States itself, is Israel. I mean, that's the definition of terrorism. Killing civilians for political objectives. Israel has done that more in the Middle East than any other country in the Middle East.
Have you seen what's going on in Beirut right now? I mean, it's actually insane. Sometimes I look at that, like I look at the news, the Middle Eastern news right now, and I'm like, I cannot believe that Israel's fighting all these wars, and yet we're constantly told nobody else has the right to defend themselves except Israel. Whereas they're the ones that are constantly just waging war after war, just killing civilian after civilians. And nobody can do anything or say anything. It's just they just do everything with impunity, and nobody can say anything about it. And if you do, you're anti-Semitic.
Which, by the way, is creating lots of anti-Semitism in the United States and around the world. Because why does that Lebanese individual in the United States who had family die from the recent set of attacks go and attack a synagogue in Detroit? It's because he's being told constantly by the Israel lobby in the United States that there's no difference at all between Israel and Judaism, even though historically the most religiously observant Orthodox Jews have long considered Zionism a heresy against the Orthodox Jewish tradition. You can follow Voice of Rabbis and other people online for that. Same with secular left Jews who historically, whether you're talking about Finkelstein or Chomsky or others, who've been fierce opponents, or Max Blumenthal or Aaron Mate or Dave Smith, who have been some of the harshest critics of Israel. There's no Israel is about a political
Weinstein
project.
Is another one. They're canceling him right now. Yes,
they're going to try to cancel everybody. The problem is they're crying wolf as bad as the left did by accusing everybody who disagreed with some radical racial ideology, oh, you're a racist. Or if you disagree with some, putting men in women's sports and women's bathrooms and women's locker rooms, then somehow that made you a misogynist or a transphobe.
Hang on, though. Are you concerned at all? Because I have to say I am a little concerned. I think that, when I see stuff like from when I hear something like Laura Loomer was the first person to be called after Donald Trump decided to attack Iran. And then you hear Laura Loomer just proudly out there saying that she has been, reporting to the government officials about Tucker Carlson and how he is basically leaking to with secrets, military secrets. And now they're saying the same thing about this Joe Kent guy. I mean, it's a very alarming. I think it's actually probably one of the most alarming things that happens in the States right now, because it's not like there's no precedence. It's not like it didn't happen to Bradley Manning and Julian Assange. Look at what happened to him. They wanted to do the same thing with Snowden. I mean, there's this definitely precedence, and it's very dangerous. Well, the kind of conversation happening right now with regards to what's with Americans is very dangerous. So are you concerned about that at all?
Well, it turns out that instead of Art of the Deal, Trump's book for how to govern in his second term was written by Don Corleone. So that's how he's governing the White. His administration looks like an extended mob family. While Kushner is sabotaging peace deals like the one with Iran, which has now been independently confirmed by not only Oman's officials, but UK officials.
The UK officials came out with that. I saw that.
Correct. He was shaking down all the Gulf states to invest in his little fund to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. The Trump brothers are cashing in on this war in live time by buying into the Israeli military-industrial complex. And that doesn't even get to all the pay-for-play schemes at the Justice Department. Kristi Noem treating the DHS budget as a personal fundraising tool for her own political ambitions, and to give hundreds of millions of dollars to personal friends and allies in no-bid contracts, when she wasn't converting deportation planes into personal pleasure planes with a bed in the back for her and Corey Lewandowski to do the affair. I mean, it is
what? I actually had no idea about that. That is insane.
It's scandal on top of scandal on top of scandal.
Is that why they let her go? Is that why he finally fired her? Because I thought it was because everybody was dying from freaking,
It was all of it. It was She wanted to do high profile, PR oriented. Immigration enforcement is political theater, not real immigration enforcement. Because real immigration enforcement would be you would go after the big corporations that profit from the illegal labor, and that you would go after the NGOs that massively import them and get government funds and other funds from them. They're not touching either one. She wanted big theater to make it look like they were really tough. Get protesters out, get violence back and forth, because then it dominates the news cycles. And Tom Homan and others said all this will do is sabotage us. This will undermine public confidence. Trump didn't actually mind that, because Trump actually he's completely capitulated to the donor class. They don't want mass deportations. They don't want meaningful enforcement of immigration laws. And Trump's planning on walking that back. It'll be his last great betrayal of the last part of his base that still supports him. The people that support him now that identify as MAGA are not MAGA. They're Mark Levin. They're Ben Shapiro. They're people that hate it. This is the old George W. Bush crew.
Yeah, the neocons. It's like, it's so crazy, because everybody is like, kind of like, just like you should not mean to. Oh, you're for the IRGC. You're this. You're that. You're pro-Democrat now and all this. And I'm like, look, I've always been anti-neocon. Like, my entire adult life has been anti-neocon. And guess what? The neocons switched to the Democrats for a while. They were the Kamala Biden party. And then they switched back now to Trump. So, yeah, I'm against those guys. I've always been against those guys. And that's actually pretty consistent in my positioning. I don't know what happened to Donald Trump, because, I remember when he was saying, like, if I was president, the Ukraine war wouldn't have happened. And if I become president again, the Ukraine war is going to be over in 24 hours. Well, here we are. The Ukraine war is not over in 24 hours. And not only that, now he's in a war with Iran. It's a complete and utter flip of the script that I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it.
Yeah, not at this scale. Every American president that's been elected has promised to be more of a peace president than his predecessor, and every single one has lied to the American people. Trump was the only one not to do so in his first term. And to go through 10 years of being the leading and go through all the insanity he did because he was not on the neocon side of the ledger. That's why there's Russiagate. That's why there's Spygate. That's why there's Ukrainegate. That's why there's 2 impeachments. That's why there's 4 indictments. That's why there's 3 efforts to bankrupt him. That's why there's 2 attempts to assassinate him. By the way, neither assassination had anything at all to do with Iran. I exposed that all the way back at the time. I said the original deep state plan was if the assassination worked, they were going to blame Iran. They already had a patsy lined up. Another patsy to blame on is a conspiracy with it. And this is how they plan on doctoring the evidence. And Nikki Haley and Mike Pompeo were going to take the stage at the Republican convention, be nominated in order to get revenge for President Trump. That was the original plan. Then it went AWOL because Trump turned his head. And so they brought it back as soon as Bongino and Patel were out there saying there's nothing to see here, not only in the Epstein files, but nothing to see here, or Epstein's killed himself. But at the same time, they said there's nothing to see here about these assassinations, including attempts, including in Butler, Pennsylvania. I said at the time, they're likely doing this in order to build up to protect Israel on the Epstein files because it implicates Israelis and the Israeli lobby and Mossad more than anyone else, though it also implicates a whole bunch of other deep state power structures. The Rothschilds are right at the center of all of it. Number one family named in the Epstein files is the Rothschild family.
Isn't that why they really flipped on Megyn Kelly, though? Because she kind of alluded to how with Charlie Kirk that Israel was very much involved and that it seems like Epstein was an asset.
There's no doubt that, basically what Charlie was doing was Charlie was always old school populist, but he was getting better and better and better educated on topics. And so he saw that Israel had gone off the rails after October 7th, lost their mind, you could say, based on their dismissal of those recent rape and sodomy and abuse charges of Palestinian detainees caught on tape. That they've lost
the ones that were let go the other day.
Yes, 10 of them. Just and celebrated in large parts of Israel. I was trying to remember the last time there was a prominent American war criminal that was not only released without any prosecution, but had parades for him in the streets. I mean, this is a degree of moral depravity I have not witnessed in a long time. You have to go back to the Nazis to get to that, or other true, pure totalitarian, authoritarian regimes. Like something out of
the Maoist stuff that I was talking about earlier.
It's Maoist, it's Stalin-esque. I mean, it's just shocking to watch it live. But the whole sort of Trump administration kind of became captured by it. It started happening early. The reason why Tucker started being very aggressive and being critical of Israel in particular was because the Israeli lobby was purging White House nominees from any position of power if they had ever publicly said one word against Israel in any respect at all. Jeremy Carl recently denied a position. He's Jewish. He's not anti-Israel at all. He's just said, hey, we should have some realism at how we handle these things. We shouldn't subordinate America's interest to a foreign nation, no matter who that foreign nation is, in the Washington farewell address tradition. And so they were purging him. Tucker knew this. That's why he started saying this is a big risk. This is a heightened risk. What Israel has become after October 7th, and where they want to go in their greater Israel project is going to entrap us. But President Trump cut a deal with the Israel lobby in the fall of 2024 because he was more desperate to win than anything else. That said he would be the most pro-Israel president ever. You can find Howard Lutnick saying this. That's how Howard Lutnick goes from a Hillary supporter to a Trump supporter, all over the Epstein files in ways he lied about. And so that's about half of the equation. I should say it's a third of the equation. Another third of the equation is Trump losing his mind. So the brilliance of Art of the Deal was you balance idealism with realism. You expect the best, but you plan for the worst. That's the thing I remembered about the book from the time I was a kid. The latter Trump has scrapped. He no longer plans for the worst at all. Now his positive thinking becomes wishful thinking, idealism, delusion. That's how you can hear him say something like, nobody ever told me something that everybody knows he was told, that he might have admitted 24 hours before he was told.
Yeah.
Because I remember the movie Memento? Did you ever see that?
Yes. I love that movie.
I call it memento memory. Basically, anything that he doesn't want to hear disappears. So when he says things like, oh, Iran has no weapons and it's AI that you're seeing these attacks being launched every single night of missiles and drones, and that they're getting through, he's convinced himself that that's the case. Yeah. I mean, I kid you not. I mean, his level, and I was told this 2 months ago by high-ranking members of the cabinet. They were warning me so that I would warn others. They said Trump was to the point where they had been specifically instructed, cabinet members specifically instructed, do not share any information that might be negative about the president, that the president might interpret negatively. Nothing negative could even be possibly. So that's why now there were people who still pushed back. Gabbard pushed back on the Iran war. J.D. Vance pushed back. Even the Pentagon pushed back because they knew this would be a shit show and they would get all the blame. Now so that's the second factor, is Trump slowly losing his mind and moral focus.
When you say that Tulsi was pushing back on the war, do you mean like before 2020?
Oh yes, all the way through. And even her statement yesterday, if you parse it through, the key thing to look at is what she doesn't say rather than what she does say.
I wanted to ask you about that. Here, let me pull it up because I wanted to. A lot of people are kind of assuming that she's, basically kind of saying that this has nothing to do with me. This is Trump. I gave him the information, and so if and when he gets impeached, and they bring criminal charges to people that are surrounded with the situation, that she doesn't get that. Is that correct?
Well, so what happened is the J.D. Vance and even the Pentagon in this case all lobbied heavily against the war. Their national intelligence report given to him before the war and given him after the war said that it's and they blamed Joe Kent for leaking, and he's not the source. The other people who received it were the source. And what it said is you're not going to get regime change in Iran through this conflict, and that it's less likely now than ever. Was what they're after. And you remember when Tulsi's report she did the National Defense Intelligence Report all the way back in March that was published.
Yes.
Said
Yes.
Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. There's no evidence Iran is building a nuclear weapon.
Yes.
My understanding is she confirmed today in her testimony the same thing.
I have that clip. Do you want to watch it?
Sure.
It was a bit of a nightmare, Robert. So I was like, what?
Well, she's trying to dodge and evade the fact that Trump is completely. She doesn't want to say publicly, Trump just ignored everything we gave him, because then she's kicked out of the administration permanently, and she still thinks she can still do good. She thinks she can do more good being inside than outside.
I feel like she should have resigned with Joe Kent. Like this. I think this was the moment, and she should have resigned. She should have been like, "Look, I didn't agree with. I gave him the intelligence, and I didn't agree with
it's sort of a classic. I think that she sees this as her last hurrah, not a future political endeavor. If she had lifelong future political, then she would have. I think that she thought, this is my one chance to be inside the intelligence apparatus, figure out everything that they did and are doing, try to make as much reform, try to get as much public as I can. But if I give that all up just for a day of news, that I'm losing influence rather than gaining influence. So Alexander Macoris, his aunt, was a very prominent Greek public official. She once told him, she said, resignation is resignation, meaning you're out of the game. And to only do that if it's the only option, there's any other option. My understanding is that Tulsi Gabbard met with J.D. Vance and Joe Kent on Monday night at the vice president's house, his official residence, and that they decided Kent will step down to get attention. Let's see how this works while they work inside the administration to try to get Trump an exit ramp, hoping the high-profile nature of Kent's resignation will further incentivize and motivate the president to take an exit ramp. By the way, there's no sign at this point that that's happening. I mean, you notice Vance went almost completely quiet for 2 weeks.
I did notice that.
It's a complete betrayal for him. It's a complete. I mean, Bobby Kennedy decided to go into surgery rather than deal with this week.
Well, you know who else went completely silent, as I've noticed, is Marco Rubio, because after he gave up that this was for Israel, I think that Trump was like, you are fucking out, bro. Like, because I haven't seen him give barely any interviews. That is, all you see is Pete Hegseth now. So it's a different messaging now than when Rubio was talking. But this is what's happened. I think this was today. Senator Ossoff is asking the questions here. He's a Democratic senator from Georgia. Here we go. This is what it said.
So the assessment of the intelligence community is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated by last summer's airstrikes.
Yes.
In the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yes.
The White House stated on March 1st of this year that this war was launched and was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False. This is the worldwide threats hearing where you present to Congress national intelligence, timely, objective, and independent of political considerations. You've stated today that the intelligence community's assessment is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated and that, quote, there had been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. Was it the intelligence community's assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
That is up to the president based on a volume of information that he receives.
It is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. This is the worldwide threats hearing where, as you noted in your opening testimony, quote, You represent the IC's assessment of threats. You are here to represent the IC's assessment of threats. That's a quote from your own opening statement. And so my question is, as you're here to present the IC's assessment of threats, was it the assessment of the intelligence community that, as the White House claimed on March 1st, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
Once again, Senator, the intelligence community has
Oh no.
provided the inputs that make up this annual threat assessment.
You won't answer the
It is the
question.
nature
You won't
of
answer
the
it.
imminent threat that the president has to make that determination based on a collection and volume
You're here
of
to be
information and
timely.
intelligence that he is provided with.
You're here to be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations.
Exactly what I'm doing.
No, you're evading a question because to provide a candid response to the committee would contradict a statement from the White House.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
What do you gather? What do you gather from
so
that?
I mean, the problem with her continuing to stay in this role is that that was not a plausible defense. That in other words, she had to take the gamble that the president would do what he did to her during the summer, which is when she said there was no imminent threat in her report. And Trump said, "Oh, I don't care what she has said." He said that was a sign that Trump was starting to lose his mind, lose his moral focus, lose his good decision-making skills. I mean, Matt Boyle is running around for Breitbart News saying Trump listens to everybody. Matt knows that's a complete lie. It's been a lie now for 6 months. It was true. It was true 2 years ago. It was true a year ago. It hasn't been true.
Hegseth was saying the same thing today. I saw a clip going around of him being like, Trump listens to everybody. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think he does.
That's patently false. It is utterly false. If you say anything he doesn't like, you get run off or blacklisted. Look at what happened to Tulsi Gabbard last summer. That's what he did. Completely excluded her from Venezuela. Completely excluded. And now they're bragging.
She was in Hawaii. She was in Hawaii when they went to Venezuela.
Completely. Like, I mean, to give an idea, they're out there bragging publicly right now that Joe Kent was cut out of everything related to Iran. That's a self-condemnation. That's not an endorsement. We cut out one of the most sophisticated, knowledgeable people about military logistics and intelligence who is the head of our counterterrorism division from any discussion about Iran. That's an admission that Matt and Pete Hegseth are lying to you. And they know they're lying to you. And it's just, I mean, what's amazing, what do these people think is going to happen 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when everybody realizes they were just lying to their audiences right to their face? Because sooner or later, this is why wars fall apart in America, is because so many of them are built on lies. And people find out the lies, and it enrages them that they were lied to. Harry Truman had almost no approval by the end of his presidency over his lies concerning the Korean War.
Right.
So you have all that. The third part of that. So you have Trump losing his mind, losing good decision making, people running interference for him because they're all getting fantastic. Like Mike Davis is a corporate lawyer who's out there, who's committing ongoing federal criminal felonies on a daily basis, so he can shake down the administration and big corporations for millions of dollars by doing bogus deals to sabotage the administration. And then he's out running cover for Pam Bondi, out running cover for the legality of these actions. Same with Will Chamberlain and these other people. So that's why they're doing it. They're doing it to either stay in a position of prestige or power, or they're doing it to just line their pockets or their pals' pockets and their pals' pockets. Wow. And that's why you're not getting any honest intel or information. And then the last part, but that isn't, Elbridge Colby opposed the war. Tulsi Gabbard opposed the war. Joe Kent opposed the war. J.D. Vance all opposed the war.
Who was the guy that got fired that opposed the war? I think he was the general that told him, like, if you do this, the Gulf states.
All he did is tell what Dan Kane, the general that's prosecuting the war, told the president. He told the press that he told the president of the risk of the Straits of Hormuz and other risks. Right. And Trump was so enraged, had him fired right away.
Fired him.
That gives you they're all lying about all of that. The third aspect of all of this is the complete misunderstanding of Iran. It's the myth that goes back almost 50 years. It's why we didn't see the revolution coming in the first place. We've lived in this fantasy land, delusional world where the Shah and Savak are really secretly, deeply popular amongst the Iranian people who just can't wait for the return of the new Shah. That, you know, when it is if people want to look at polling data, you can find the Sadat professor at the University of Maryland has done very good polling on Iran and throughout the Middle East. All the other polls people read are fake. There are ones out of Canada, ones out of the Netherlands. They're funded by the NED, USAID, CIA cutouts. They're complete garbage. They print fake polls that the president loves to hear from. Now we're doing fake. He has Republican pollsters doing fake polls on a regular basis for him. CNN's out there doing fake polls. Because they know they can get Trump to double down and triple down on stupid and wipe him out forever. Because
100% approval, 100% approval,
yes,
Robert.
Yes,
I mean,
obviously
it's like some
fake.
shit out of fucking North Korea.
One of the most infamously fake things that are going on. They're also playing other games. Like they'll say the percentage of MAGA is up, but that's because the number of Republicans is way down in the same survey. So that's the game they're playing. All kinds of games. They'll say, ask circular questions. Do you support Trump's war in Iran? Yes. Okay, now you're MAGA. Hey, MAGA, do you support Trump's war in Iran? It's that kind of circular nonsense.
Yeah, they're trying to manufacture consent for the war.
Completely. And the problem is in the modern age, Americans have been too tricked too many times to now believe this. Credibility of the institutions is at a record low. 80% of Americans say they do not have a great deal of confidence in the institutional media, in the Pentagon, in the FBI, in any of these institutions. And so that's part one. And the other part of all this, in terms of misunderstanding Iran, that goes all the way back to before the 1979, is that if they really understood the regime, the Ayatollah was the reason why there was no nuclear weapons in Iran. It wasn't because Iran lacks the technical capacity to do so. No. I suspect one of the backup plans Iran is thinking about right now is taking that enriched material and making a nuclear.
I bet you. I don't know because I don't actually know. But I bet you, because I'm Iranian, I bet you that they're like, oh, we're making those nukes now. Like,
exactly, because that fatwa is gone.
Yeah.
But when I was doing this study, so Sadat professor did good detailed studies. And what it showed is the Iranian people were unhappy with the economy, but they did not want to overthrow the government. There was no mass demand for public democracy. And then the reason is they could see what happened in Iraq, Libya, Syria, Lebanon. They didn't want it to come to them. So that's part one of that equation. The other part is it's overwhelmingly Shia. If you study Shia opinions in Pakistan, Shia opinions in Bahrain, Shia opinions in Syria, Shia opinions in Iraq, Shia opinions in Lebanon, Shia opinions anywhere in the world, what you will find is there was nowhere near the hostility to the regime there was amongst non-Shia Iranians. Then part three is if you understood any of the history of you combine Shia religion, which celebrates martyrdom, that their hero was somebody who went to his death knowing it was his death, that literally lived on his feet, died on his feet rather than lived on his knees. Surrounded by 100 to 1.
The guy that died yesterday. God, I'm spacing on his name now.
Larijani.
Yes, Larijani.
He was a professor of philosophy at
walking amongst the people like 2-3 days ago. He was walking amongst them, and now he's dead. He went to his daughter's house. His daughter's house got bombed. The entire block got bombed. So over 100 civilians have died. We don't know. No one knows the number. These numbers are going to be rolling out, I'm sure. And I mean, this whole thing was, again, it's a manufactured war. They wanted to say that Iran killed they started lowballing the number, like 30,000 is a lowball number for them now, for the protesters, which, I mean, the IRGC put out their own numbers saying about 5,000 people were killed. And that's not including the people who they foresaw to be Mossad and just doing basically very bad things over there, that they had to kill, like that the police had to kill, because it's war. Like it's a different type of war. So then, like, not counting the innocent people, but they're saying like now it's 30. It's up to like what I think the latest number I saw was like 80,000. They just keep putting out these numbers. Yeah. That so many people were killed. But what they don't understand about Iranians is if that was the case, the Iranian people would have actually gone out and overthrown their government at that point. If the government was out there killing thousands of people the way that the West wanted to portray, at that point, the Iranian people would have actually gone out and been like, you can't mow down this many people. We will not allow you to mow down this many people. We will just not do that, because that's who Iranians are. They're not afraid. They will
Right.
stand up to their government if they have to. That was just not the case.
Well,
So
exactly. It was the trigger for the 1979 revolution, was the attacks on protesters. Yes, all of that was fake news and fake intel. But if you understood the Shia mindset, if you understood Persian pride, and you understood
and also the other thing is the conviction too, Robert, because I mean, they're willing to die in mass. I mean, if you look at the Iraq war, the Iran-Iraq war, you will know, and they have a threshold. They have a high threshold for pain. And
Yes.
so that they're willing to sacrifice themselves for their goal. For it doesn't matter to them. They will do it.
It's built into the Shia tradition. It's built into Persian pride. It's built into Iranian nationalism, which is why the Iranian Kurds have never rebelled.
Exactly.
They're more Iranian than they are wanting a Kurdistan. So that's what people don't understand. We've had these mythologies preached to us about Iran that are almost entirely. And what's sad is many people in power, many people in positions of influence, State Department, Pentagon, other places, CIA, believe this gibberish, believe this nonsense. And then Trump had become completely convinced of it. Just thought one more bomb and somehow magically peace and freedom will burst out across the Iranian world.
That's what he was saying to his, like, I saw that clip where he was saying about the whole New York Times using AI thing, because he was like, I don't understand. They told me that once we do this and whatever, that the people are going to come and overthrow the government. And I thought that those are going to be like, protesters for us, like, welcoming us in. I don't understand what this is. And he was confused because he was like, they were telling me, like, my intel was telling me that this is for us. Like they're like, oh, we're so happy, Donald Trump, that you bombed us. And then he realized that was not the case. And he started to
that comes
get mad
entirely
about that.
from the Israeli lobby, because it wasn't in Tulsi Gabbard's national intelligence report. But it was in the Israeli lobby's nonsense. And then if you knew that the history of the region meant that it was highly unlikely anybody would welcome or want destabilization, if you understood the recent, because of Libya, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, if you understood that the geopolitical realities of the region would be very suspect of American and Israeli control, and if you understood that nobody's been bombed into peace and freedom ever, no regime has ever changed because of an air war. If we couldn't do it in Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, in any of those, or to Nazi Germany or fascist Japan, who we firebombed into almost oblivion, why in the world would anybody rational think that you're going to be able to get that regime change in Iran? Now, the reality is they had somebody inside, I think the Quds commander was the guy who was actually the guy who sold out Soleimani, sold out Hezbollah, sold them out. And they thought he was going to replace once they took out the regime. The problem was Chinese and Russian intelligence were on the ground helping the IRGC, had already figured out he was the likely rat. And as soon as he got caught, took a suicide pill and boom. And that's when Trump says, well, he says leaders are dead. He's not identifying. This was the guy he thought was going to be his Delcy Rodriguez. The problem with that all along is Iran is not Venezuela. No. Iran is not some small Latin American country riddled with corruption and fraud that you can just bribe a few generals off and steal and kidnap their leader. That isn't who Iran is. It is a culture.
Not to say that there isn't any corruption. Like there is definitely corruption, and there's definitely people who will, who can be bought. But there's also, for every one of those people who can be bought, because the population's so dense and because the religion is a big part of them, for every one of them that can be bought, there's 10 more that will sell out the other guy if they find out that guy has been bought, because they'll be like, oh, you motherfucker, I'm going to tell on you,
The best example of this is if you look at the power of the Persian culture. The Alexander the Great invades. The Greeks end up getting converted to Persian culture. The Arab Muslims invade. They end up getting converted to Persian culture. The Mongols invade. They end up getting converted to Persian culture. The Turks invade. They end up getting converted to Persian culture. If you study history, then you would know the likelihood that the Persian culture was going to capitulate overnight was somewhere between nil and zil. But these are people that are historically illiterate.
Really good hospitality, Robert.
Yeah, exactly.
We just like to, be hospitable and share our tea and our dates and stuff with people.
Well, it's like one of my favorite questions to ask random people will be, did you know the Ayatollah, one of his favorite hobbies was to write poetry, right? It gives you a whole different sense of who he is. Larijani, the guy we just killed, a professor of philosophy of Kant. So, our stereotypes and caricatures that these are backwoods, mullahs that have some weird theocracy that have no connection to literature or science or art. When the Persian culture is one of the richest cultures in the world in all of those capacities, is the degree of denial and delusion that the imperial logic of the empire is built into the minds of a lot of these so-called think tank experts. That's why they couldn't assess how Iran was likely, the Iranian people were likely to respond and react. Not only that, they're very technically sufficient. They like to be self-sufficient, maybe too much so. They probably would have profited from some Russian and Chinese weapons and other things on the ground.
They're too proud. They're too proud.
Too deeply proud. That's the nature of that pride. But what it meant is, they helped build a very sophisticated drone system, a very sophisticated, like Trump keeps saying, destroyed the Air Force. It's because they don't have a conventional Air Force. They knew they couldn't win on those terms. They have an unconventional Air Force in drone warfare. We destroyed their Navy.
And rockets.
They don't have a conventional Navy. They have an unconventional Navy. Go fast boats with missiles attached and a bunch of underwater drones, which Trump, by the way, was pretending don't exist.
I know. They keep telling people that it doesn't exist. It's been obliterated, all these things. By the way, this was another propaganda that they did. This was the women's soccer team from Australia. You heard from the first week that they're all, they have all their family has all been captured and they're going to kill them all. And when they get home, they're going to kill them all. Look, Iran is not like that, especially in terms of people that they prop up, like their female athletes is definitely not going to be some people that they're going to go kill because they know the eyes of the world is on them already. They're not going to go and be like, oh, by the way, we're going to kill. You know who does those things though? Israel. Always.
There's a lot of projection. There's a lot of the sins of the Western world are projected on Iran simply because Iran was something that the regime replaced the crown jewel of the MI6 CIA world in the Middle East when they dispatched the Shah and the Savak and all the rest. But you dig in. Iran has quite literally never initiated, and this regime has never initiated a conflict anywhere outside of its own borders with any other country. It has always been defense, whether it's Iraq, whether it's the U.S., and the people they've supported are rebel groups that are Shia in other parts of the world, not terror groups. Where are all these Iranian terror sleeper cells they've said existed for the last half century? They've never shown up because they don't exist. So this is what
because the ones that do exist are the ISIS ones.
Oh yeah, they're not Shia ones.
The
they're
Sunnis.
Sleepers.
They're not the Shiite Persian
they're
people
enemies
that want to kill you, and they're enemies of the Iranians. Yes, exactly.
Completely. The number one. That's why Mr. Founder of Al Qaeda, Al Nusra, ISIS, president of Syria right now, is willing to join the U.S. against Iran. Because that's the nature of it. That's the geopolitical reality. The U.S. has done more to support, subsidize, and build. Like people are saying, well, you got to blame them for anything their proxies did. Okay. By that standard, U.S. is the biggest terrorist in the world because we've promoted and propped up our proxies to commit civilian terrorism for the better part of the last century. Yes. So if that's going to be the standard, so that's why they have to make stuff up. They have to pretend things. They have to all this delusional nonsense. So the problem is they never got buy-in from the American public, despite how propagandized Americans are. This war is only going to get worse. Iran is not going to run out of ballistic missiles because they build them underground, for crying out loud, in a country that is 75 times the size of Israel, that is the size of almost all of Europe, that is very mountainous in nature, that they have been building for this for 47 years. They can build hundreds and hundreds of drones every single month. They have tens of thousands of those drones. They can keep firing them for forever. They can keep the Straits of Hormuz closed for forever. So the idea that we can win this militarily is just not the case. And escalatory dominance, they can reciprocate, just like happened today. We hit their gas field. Okay, they hit a bunch of gas fields in Qatar and the rest of the Middle East. So
and then Donald Trump was like, okay, we're not going to hit anymore. Please don't hit anymore.
Exactly. That's how bad his logic is. Like, oh, yeah, we'll do it. This will kill him. Oh, wow. Oh, that blowback was a lot worse than I thought. Oops. I mean, he's literally a bumbling fool right now. And the problem is
something about this, because that's the thing that a lot of people say. Like I've heard so many people, I've heard you on people's show. I've heard so many people say he should just wrap it up, claim victory as he has already. I mean, he was going to claim victory anyway, either way. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to come home. Like, we're done. It is what it is. We killed Khamenei. We tried to free them, but they didn't want to be freed. So, it is what it is. We're leaving. I think the Persian people, because we've just talked about how crazy they are in terms of like their pride and stuff, they're never going to let that happen, especially now that Khamenei's been killed. So many of the leaders have been killed. I think that there is no exit ramp now at this point in time, because I think they're just going to wait. They're going to wait out Trump's political career. If that means that, in the midterms he loses and then the Democrats come in and then they're going to like impeach him or whatever. If that's the case, it'll be like 6 months to a year or two before Donald Trump is out arrested. If not, it'll be 3 years before there's an election. If Donald Trump lets that happen, right? Like if he doesn't change the rules, all of a sudden he wants to do something new and, do it again.
Well, that was one of the problems with our interpretation. They launch a bunch in the first 2 days. Then they start metering out to about 5 to 10% of that level. And the idiots in the Pentagon were like, oh, see, they're running out of weapons. No, that means they're planning for a 2-year war. That means they're saying, okay, here's what we're going to do every day for the next 2 years. Every single day, hit.
War of the attrition. That's what
correct. And that they understand they can win that war of attrition. That we are going to have to scream uncle long before anybody else does. And can we handle a conflict in Ukraine, a conflict in the Middle East? And what if China decides to use this as their perfect time, because we've taken all of our defensive assets out of the South Asian seas to take Taiwan?
Go after Taiwan. And then, of course, South Korea might be a target as well for North Korea. I mean, they've been waiting. Correct. Why not?
I mean, all the air defense missiles
right now.
They're gone. We got them all in trouble and stripped them of it. There is no the fertilizer cost, the chip cost, the supply chain cost, the diesel cost, the gas and oil cost. They're all going to skyrocket. Right now, oil should be $55 a barrel, but for this conflict. So, and it's heading to 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. On the spot markets in the Middle East, it's already close to 200 in some places. So this is going to get worse. And people pretending, buying in all the boomer con slop, the people that have true TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, to where they think anything he does is godlike. If your positions can change on a dime of what a politician says, you don't have any principles. You're just a cult member. And I say this as someone who spent 10 years defending President Trump, 10 years advocating for him, personal and professional sacrifice for him, had defended Israel for many, many years. And all they have done is betray the American people. Reality. And the quicker and sooner, there is an exit ramp, but it's not going to be on Trump's terms. There's a lot of confession through projection. When you see Trump's truths, start to just flip it. If he says Iran did something and the U.S. is responding, assume he's talking about the U.S. did something and Iran responded. So he said, Iran is begging for a ceasefire, but I'm not willing to take their terms yet. What he meant was he is begging for a ceasefire, but Iran is not willing to take his terms yet. The terms are going to be by Russia. And it's going to be, but the Putin already offered an exit ramp. You can store their nuclear enriched material in Russia. You recognize a real security guarantee. Has to go through the UN Security Council and be approved. Release of all sanctions. Some degree of monetary reparations for all the damage that's been done. Some recognition of their control of the Straits of Hormuz that they can tax people on to develop, $50, $100 billion a year in revenue. Some withdrawal of U.S. military forces from the Middle East. These are their terms and conditions. Some portion of that is going to have to be granted, or Trump's presidency is going to go down in flames. The question is his ego too big to do what needs to be done? I got to hop off.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. You've been fantastic for being here. And please come back soon, okay? We have so much to talk about still.
We'll do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Robert. Bye. Wow. Robert Barnes, everybody. Robert Barnes. What a good talk. Yay, I have clapping sounds. Yay, Robert. Channel, YouTube channel, Rumble channel. They hang out, they talk. Shout out to Viva as well. I did invite Viva as well, but Viva was like, yeah, I'm going on family vacation, so I won't be able to make it. But so we'll have to get Viva on at another time. But that was a great show. Real quick, I want to get some of these super chats while you guys were listening to the show. So thank you so much, Ian. So forth, of course, Ian's here. Hello, thank you for the 50. That is a lot of money. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ian, for the support. He says for 50 pounds, a shock and awe turns to boots on the ground, turns to another dithering transition from one bad regime to another. You know, I hope not, Ian. I hope that at the end of all this, that certain changes will be made. I think there will be changes made, especially in Iran. I'm hopeful about that, but for now, they're gonna have to push through. They're gonna have to fight, and they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna bend the knee. I just don't see it. But thank you so much for the 50. Russell Hall sent in a whole bunch of super chats earlier tonight, so let's get to those. Thank you for the super chats, Russell. This is a very difficult because it will break us. He says Fernando Arabs are also Semites. This is true. Thank you, Russell, who I can't believe Russell Hall knows something like that. That is a weird thing to think about. Russell for $2. Is there video evidence of Christine Noem's bed? He's talking about the bed in the plane. I'm sure you can probably find it on Pornhub. That's just taking a wild guess here. Russell Hall, thank you for the $5. He says, my guess is that Trump has been panicking because the U.S. is in much, much worse shape than anyone publicly acknowledges, and there's nothing he can do. You know, that's an interesting perspective. I think you're probably closer to the truth than a lot of people want to admit. I think that, again, like, because of what we were talking about with Robert earlier tonight, there's a big sect of people who have given Trump certain advice that he has chosen not to listen to. He's chosen to discard those people. And so he's created himself like basically a bubble. Like he's in his own bubble. It's a very Israeli bubble, unfortunately. So he's just getting like that kind of information. So, and then they've kind of blocked out certain things. So now tonight, actually, they were talking about, I mean, I saw this thing that they were saying earlier that, not like now they were saying that, they're saying that the families don't want the bodies to be shown, for the war that's, they're coming off the trucks or the planes or whatever. That was like shown on Fox News, that they were saying like, oh, we're not going to have we're not going to show the bodies anymore. Let me see if I can pull that up. Because right after that, though, I saw another thing going around where these parents were being interviewed. So here is, oh, this is getting community noted now. I don't know why it's getting community noted, but let's see here. It says here, this was the reporting from Fox News. And then it says here, this claim and the Fox News reporting were inaccurate. See attached photos from the White House where main service members were being welcomed by the delegations, including President and Secretary Hegseth. But they did say this on Fox News today.
Military base, when the remains of the 6 U.S. service members killed in the crash of that refueling aircraft are returned to their families. Obviously, a very solemn moment. John, this is, of course, the second time since launching the war with Iran that the president will attend the solemn military ritual known as the dignified transfer.
Yeah, we should point out that at the request of the families, the dignified transfer is going to remain private. There will not be any cameras there.
Right.
So unlike we have seen in the past, we will not see scenes of the president welcoming the heroes back home.
So they're saying that the
President Trump
dignified
wants this
transfer
law.
is not going to be televised, which is very unlike any other time. I don't know if I believe that the parents asked for that. I think they started to see stuff like this happening with the parents and the media, and they asked the parents for NDAs because this is what usually happens in stuff like this. So this was one of the news articles that was going, or news clips that was going around. This is about some of the parents of the soldiers that died really recently. So this is one of them.
We didn't need to be in this war. You know, this is uncalled for. And this is what we get.
The family of Tyler Simmons tells me the news still feels unreal. They're filled with immense sadness and grief that their beloved pilot is gone, but also anger, feeling that his death could have been prevented.
It's just not fair. It's not fair at all.
But alongside
I
their
feel bad
grief,
for her.
Simmons' family is making a plea, calling on the United States to stop the war with Iran.
This could have been prevented. We didn't need to be in this war. You know, this is uncalled for. And this is what we get.
Families are suffering right now. Not only our family, but there are other families that's lost loved ones. And just to create a war because you want to create a war, it's not right. It
That's
is
so
not
sad.
right.
The crash brought the total number of U.S. service members killed since the conflict began to 13. Local for you, I'm Lexi Lepoff, NBC4.
That's really sad. That's just it's gonna, and there's gonna be so much more, especially now that they're saying, you know, they're gonna be putting boots on the ground on Carriage Island or whatever. I think it's just folly. It's so bad that this whole idea that they're going to be putting boots on the ground over there has it's alarming, man. It's alarming. I mean, it will be something if a lot of them die. It'll be something to see at the midterms. Like, I mean, in the US, I think the midterms are going to be just an after, like, if the troops get lost, which I think they will be, because I mean, it's just strategically this is bad. You can listen to anybody, any of these guys, Scott Ritter, Daniel Davis, like any of these old vets that are talking about Iran analysis right now. They'll tell you, a lot of analysts are telling you this is a bad idea. You should not be doing this, but they're doing it. So I mean, I don't think that this is very smart. I just don't. But so I think there's a lot more lives are going to be lost, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Israel and U.S. are bombing Iran like just every day. More people are dying, and Iran is giving it back to Tel Aviv. They're just giving it right back. You're just not seeing a lot coming out of Tel Aviv because of the censorship. This clip came out right before we were to go live. It's with Joe Kent and the traitor Tucker Carlson. The traitor Tucker Carlson is interviewing him. I was like, oh my God, they're just gonna like bust in here and arrest both these guys at the same time. I mean, this is becoming so crazy. I'm definitely gonna be watching this full interview. I'm definitely gonna be watching this full interview. But I did see this clip coming out, so I wanted to play it for you guys.
We knew not that Iran was going to attack. He did not say that. Right. He said we knew that Israel was going to attack Iran, and in retaliation for those attacks by Israel against Iran,
I'm sure he's talking
attack
about
American forces.
Rubio.
So the imminent threat that the Secretary of State is describing is not from Iran; it's from Israel.
Exactly, and I think this speaks to the broader issue. Who is in charge of our policy in the Middle East? Who is in charge of when we decide to go to war or not? In this case, with what the secretary described, and later on the president, later on the Speaker of the House, and the way the events played out, the Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we knew would set off a series of events, meaning the Iranians would retaliate. Now, I think there's a potential there where we could have done several different things. We could have simply said to the Israelis, no, you will not. And if you do, then we will take something away from you. I think that it's...
You know, that's such a terrible pause face. Sorry about that. You know, that is such an interesting point. Like, I love what he just said, because real power doesn't take shit from anybody. Real power will just be like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I don't like you're the little guy. Like, go away. I'll do whatever the fuck I want because I'm the big guy. I will tell you what we're doing. Like, if this was The Sopranos and America is like Tony Soprano, right? And like the little guy is like freaking Chris, Tony Soprano is going to tell Chris to shut the fuck up. Like, you're a captain. Go away. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what he's saying here. He's saying, like, if you had like actual strength, you would just be like, no. Like, you would just, like, if you're America and, you know, and freaking Israel is coming up to you and they're like, let's go bomb these guys. Let's go bomb these guys. Let's go bomb these guys. You know what you should be like as America?
How about no?
How about no? You could say no. You could say no.
And if you do, then we will take something away from you. I think that it's fine that we offer defense to Israel.
Interesting that he says that too. I always think about how they have such a friendly relationship when it comes to arresting pedophiles. Like, it's like, you know, Israel has like this thing, or they're basically kind of known as like the pedophile haven. So whenever there's like some type of pedophile gets like exposed, they'll just go to Israel and then nobody asks any questions. It's like, if you have that type of friend and you find out, oh no, one of my friends is a pedophile. Oh no. Would you like dissociate with that friend? Because I know I would. Oh no, like this friend of mine really likes pedophiles and, like, you know, just likes to have parties with pedophiles all the time. I think, like, maybe I'm just gonna dissociate from you. But no. Like, no. The US just lets them do whatever the fuck they want. It's crazy. It's absolutely bonkers.
But when we're providing the means for their defense, we get to dictate the terms of when they go on the offensive. Otherwise, they stand to lose that relationship. And the Israelis felt emboldened that no matter what they did, no matter what situation they put us in, that they could go ahead and take this action, and we would just have to react. And so that speaks to that relationship. But also, it just shows that there was a lobby pushing for us to go to war. I know we'll get into that later on in the statement, but we had a real potential, I think, knowing what we know of the Iranians and how they react, and in particular, how they react to President Trump's leadership. The Iranians, under President Trump's leadership, especially in his second term, they have shown that they take a very calculated approach to the escalation ladder. For instance, in the lead up to the 12-day war before Midnight Hammer, the Iranians didn't attack us. They were engaged in negotiations with us. When President Trump came back into office, they stopped their proxies who were attacking us under the Biden administration because they knew Biden was weak. They stopped their proxies from attacking us as well. So they knew President Trump was someone who wanted to negotiate, but more importantly, they knew that President Trump was not someone to mess with because he killed Qasem Soleimani. He killed Abu Mahdi Mohandas. He had defeated ISIS. They knew that President Trump was a man of action. He is militarily strong. And so they said, before we take an action, we need to make sure that it's calculated. So I think in this scenario, even if the Israelis told us we're going to strike on this date at this time, and we didn't, try to negotiate with the Israelis and say, hey, we'll take something away from them, I think we still could have back channeled to the Iranians and said, hey, if something happens here in the next couple of days, it's not us. We're still serious about negotiations, and we don't want to escalate this because it's well known what the Iranians' plans were. We knew that they were going to hit potentially our bases in the region, potentially our allies. We knew about the Straits of Hormuz. All of these things, I think, were fairly well known.
Yeah, but that's the other thing too, is like after the first quote unquote betrayal, because the 12-day war happened also during negotiations. After that happened, the Iranians knew. They were like, this is going to happen. This war is going to happen either way. We're just going to prepare. Like they've already prepared. They already had contingencies in plan. They just now are like, okay, like the next time they come, it's not going to be over anytime soon. Like it's just that is the war then. But until basically until there's different people in place that are willing to make other deals, like this is just going to go on. It's just going to go on. Russell Hall for $5 says Israel has bitten off way more than they can chew here. I think there's a very high likelihood that they'll end up escalating this to nuclear. Russell, I don't actually disagree with you on that, because I think that that's what's going on. I think that that's the scary part of what might happen, because they don't, like, even Trump doesn't really understand that this isn't going to end the way he thinks it is. Like, they don't have, there is the off ramp. So the only off ramp at this point for the US and Israel is going to be to escalate the weapon used, because otherwise Iran's keeping up toe to toe. And Israel is suffering too. Like, I mean, if they're being hit like every night, you might not see it, but they are being hit. So I think that is a very likely scenario, in which case, if that happens, it's going to get scary, because that means, like, that Russia and China and other people are going to be like, well, we got nukes too. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be anything good. If it gets to this point, other people are having to. I actually think that this whole situation has made it so that literally every country is now going to be like, we need nukes immediately. We need to get nukes. Every single country, every single little country that's like, oh shit, we don't want to be next. Because Israel's not going to stop. They're just going to keep going. So every country that doesn't have nukes is now like, okay, like, they're on notice. Everybody's on notice. Because seemingly the only people that don't get fucked with are the people who have nukes. So why not? Everybody should nuclear. Everybody should just get up and go nuclear. Because that's apparently that's it. That's the deterrent. If you have a nuclear power, then you're not going to get fucked with. So that's the scenario that's like everybody. This is the other thing that's going to happen from this. I feel like the UN, it's gone after this whole situation's over. Like, there's not going to be any UN council. There's not going to be like any of these bullshits. Like, it's all done. All these groups, these international groups that really don't seemingly give a fuck about anything that Israel's doing, like, at all. They're gone. They're gone. There's going to be new ones. No, I don't want nuclear war. They want nuclear war. They do. They do. I don't want it. They want it. And they've given this situation to the world. Like, the rest of the planet are like, the only reason that North Korea, for example, is not being fucked with, even though they have, like, a crazy ruler, even though they're crazy and all this stuff, the only reason they're not being fucked with is they got nukes. So if you're a self-sufficient nation that wants to be sovereign, you have to have them. This is the proof. This is the proof of it. Because if you don't, US and Israel are going to bomb your ass. They're going to keep bombing your ass. It's just the way it is, man. It's just the way, it's optics. I mean, they would be stupid not to. Because every other country that has nukes don't get fucked with. It's just the way it is. So, if there was any, like, argument to ever be made about nuclear armament, it's this. They themselves are like, yeah, this is the reason why everybody should have nukes. Which is crazy to me. It's actually crazy to me. But I also think that about, like, the United States having weapons. Like, you look, either arm your whole nation or disarm your whole nation. Because this whole, like, we can't have guns, or we can have guns. Well, either everybody's got them or nobody's got them. I feel the same way about the nukes. Either everybody's got to have them or nobody's got to have them. You can't have just a couple nations going around bullying everybody, man. That's what's happening right now. They're big bullies, especially Israel. They're bullies, just bullying everybody constantly. Look at what's happening to, like, Beirut right now, man. It's a fucking nightmare over there. What's up, Nightmare Files? How you doing? Good to see you. But anyways, by the way, shout out to Verbal Riot, but he told me last minute that he's not going to be able to make it tonight because he has a cold apparently. Poor Dante. So I'm sorry you feel bad, Dante. Hope you feel better. So maybe next week we will do some entertainment talk with Dante. I did watch the Oscars this year. And tomorrow I'm gonna be going to see Project Hail Mary. I'm planning on going to see Project Hail Mary this week because that's gonna be a good show. I want to show you this thing because instead of the war with Iran, what we really should be focusing on, all of us, like, I'm just so shocked that people don't understand what the true danger is. Like, the true danger. It's robots, man. Robots. They can be taken over. Here's a robot employee in China that just randomly started destroying dishes. He was like, you know what? No. I'm not gonna do this. And then he started dancing. He just went out of control. So I'm just sick and tired of humans just thinking like, this is gonna be it for us. Like, we're just gonna war with ourselves or whatever. Meanwhile, these fucking robots are gonna take over. Look at this thing. He starts going out of control, starts dancing. Look, it's all fun and games now because he's dancing. But what happens when he starts thinking, I'm going to glitch and take this knife and start stabbing people? What happens then, people? What? You tell me what? This is the real problem. Nobody's listening to me. You don't get it. You guys don't get it. You guys are focusing on the wrong enemies. And enemies are not like Iran and Israel and the US. It's the robots. They're coming for us all, people. It's robots and AI and freaking Skynet. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you guys, that's it. That's the problem. It's the robots. The robots are going to take over. And then what? And then what are we going to do? And we've used all of our nukes on each other. Then what? We have no weapons, no nukes, and they just take over. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, war with Iran. We're just giving them the planet, people. I hope you guys are happy. Speaking of AI, I saw this, which I find extremely creepy. I'm not gonna lie, this is so creepy to me. This is creepy shit, you guys. Look at this. It says first look. First look at AI Val Kilmer. It says first look, Val Kilmer has been resurrected via AI to star in the new movie As Deep as the Grave. Kilmer was cast in the movie in 2020, 5 years before his death, but he was too sick amid his throat cancer battle to ever make it to set. Now an AI version of the actor is appearing in the film with the full blessing of his daughter, Mercedes. He's always looked at emerging technologies with optimism as a tool to expand the possibility of storytelling. This spirit is something that we are all honoring within the specific film of which he was an integral part. He was the actor I wanted to play this role, says writer-director Court Voorhees. It was very much designed around him. It drew on his Native American heritage and his ties and the love of the Southwest. His family kept saying how important they thought the movie was, and that Val really wanted to be a part of this. He really thought it was important story that he wanted his name on it. It was that support that gave me the confidence to say, okay, let's do this, despite the fact that people might call it controversial. This is what Val wanted. Well, I mean, at least this is a nice story that they're telling behind the scenes, that this is what he would have wanted. But it's creepy as fuck that they're using AI to bring back someone from the dead and put him in a movie. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but it is. It's creepy. It's creepy. Do you guys not think this is creepy? I do. I think this is freaking creepy as shit. So that's the real enemy here. That's the real enemy here. And everybody's like just looking the other way right now. Just looking the other way. The Simpsons predicted this, did they? The Simpsons predict stuff. I haven't watched The Simpsons for many, many years, though, because I kind of stopped around season 12 or 13. So I did not see that. I did not see that. I did want to also go through this whole thing, but I was hoping Dante was here. But we might have to talk about this next week with Dante, because that'll be fun, because I want to talk to him about the Oscars, and I want to talk to him about this stuff here with this whole Buffy reboot. Did you guys hear about that? Exclusive insight: Chloe Zhao's failed Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot got canceled. Sarah Michelle Gellar's return was shockingly minimal, apparently, with Buffy reduced to just one line in the pilot, as the story centered on a new teen Slayer. Sources say that the project was with Zhao directed was viewed as not mainstream enough and skewing too young, while Geller has since blamed Hulu executives, who was proud he never watched the original series, after multiple rewrites, and the revival was ultimately deemed unsalvageable and scrapped. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm okay with this, like, scrapping subpar shit. Like, I think I'm okay with that, because like, we have enough garbage, and Buffy is like treasured. It's like it's one of those shows that everybody loves. It's universally loved, and you don't want to bring something like that back and then just taint the old one. People are going to be like, ugh, like, then the new generation won't want to go watch the old one even. So I don't know. I feel like it's better to scrap it if it's going to be subpar. Just scrap the damn thing. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we forcing something that shouldn't be forced? You shouldn't force things. You shouldn't force things.
At least we put this matter to bed. That's what she said. Or he said.
You shouldn't force things. There was something else I wanted to show you guys. There was like all these weird fireballs in the sky. Did you guys see that yesterday? I was like, this is interesting. A lot of meteor sightings out of nowhere. A lot of meteor sightings. Let me pull one up. I did retweet them, because I was like, oh, why is there so many meteor sightings all of a sudden? Oh my God. I just saw something that I have to show you guys. Oh, here we go. This is the different meteor sightings. It was like 4 really big ones, like across the world. 4 comets witnessed across 4 different continents. It's not normal. Let me just mute this. So we got this one here. Got this one here. Is it this one here? And then this one here. There was another one too that I saw that was not in any of these. That was at the Dallas airport. It was a weird one at the Dallas airport. This is bizarre. This is definitely bizarre. I feel like maybe something's happening, cosmically. So maybe they're trying to distract people with wars. I don't know, but it's not normal. It's not normal to see this many fireballs in the sky. There was also, there was one in Dallas that they saw that at the airport. That one was weird. Let me see if I can find that one. There was one. Oh, here it is. This one is near Dallas airport. By the way, what's up with all these airports being shut down? Did you guys hear about the Denver airport today was like completely shut down? Like they had no power. They wouldn't say why. I gotta mute this because they got this weird music in the background, but she's just going like, oh shit, what is this? Like in the background, and then like this is it. They're just driving by the thing. So they're gonna see it again. Here it is. She's like recording it. This is crazy. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. That's wild, man. Look at that. That's crazy. So yeah, a lot of interesting things happening at the same time. I feel like I don't know. I don't feel like those things are normal. In other news, Sophie Turner looks exactly like every other generic action star that has ever been. And she's trying to be like Lara Croft. Girl, she looks nothing like Lara Croft. Like absolutely nothing like Lara Croft. There's not a single thing that looks like Lara Croft in this. Other than maybe the braid, which you can barely even see. Like she's got like the braid, but you can barely even see it. She's just I just don't even know what to say. Like, how do you do Lara Croft and then like do this? This is the real Lara Croft right here. If you're gonna do live action Lara Croft, just lean into it. Like, I don't understand why these people have such problem understanding. Like, if you're gonna like do a live action or something, just lean in, man. Like, lean in. Just lean in. It doesn't have to be realistic. It doesn't matter if Lara Croft has booty shorts. It doesn't have to be realistic. You don't have to make it like this military movie. I feel like it's like, what are you doing? Just lean in. Nobody cares. If people are watching Tomb Raider, no one's like, oh, let me like be a dork and talk about how like realistically you would need to like have like a bulletproof vest and blah blah blah. Nobody gives a fuck. People are watching freaking Tomb Raider. Like freaking get a grip. Okay, like if you're gonna go make a war movie that's about like, like Full Metal Jacket or something, then yeah. Like, sure, have some realism in there. Like, have some, some army people advising you what a military thing would be like. But we're talking about a chick in booty shorts, man. Look at this. Like, this is AI, obviously, but still, like, we're talking about this kind of stuff. People are not like, they're not going to care. They don't care that you're like realistic. This is what people want when you're talking about Tomb Raider. People want Tomb Raider. They want Lara Croft. They want this hot British chick with long hair that's most likely in a braid, and these fucking cool guns with the freaking gun straps on the thighs that you can see. It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard. This is what they want. People want this, but make it like a real person. What? Like, why? Why is it so hard? Why does this have to be so hard? Look at this. Somebody did this. But would this have been so hard? I mean, I honestly don't think people would have been hating it as much if it looked like this. I don't think people would have hated it. They'd be like, oh, okay, there's Lara Croft. Looks like Lara Croft, right? This looks like Lara Croft. But no. We're not going to get this. We're going to get this. That's your Lara Croft. It's stupid. It's dumb. It is dumb. Russell Hall for $1 over on Rumble says the only thing that can possibly salvage that Tomb Raider movie is the obligatory nude mod. The worst part about it, dude, is not even that it's a movie. It's like a freaking series. That means you have to sit there and watch like 10 hours of content. Like, they're gonna have like 8 episodes at least. It's like 8 hours of freaking Tomb Raider with no shorts. You get booty shorts, man. Come on. How you gonna go have? It just drives me nuts. Like, why don't you just go do another movie? Why is it gonna be Tomb Raider? Just go do something else. It just pisses me off. In other news, and also in like, holy shit, I had no idea this was a thing news. Magic Johnson's son apparently says that he looks more cute than any girl does when he wears women's clothes. I'm killing a dress that no one else is. The girl in the room are not doing it. They don't look cute. This is basketball icon, NBA champ, multiple NBA champ. This is supposed to be the son of Magic Johnson, you guys. Like, I mean, I would just, I don't know what I would just die. If I was Magic, I'd be like, freaking hell. Like, I failed as a father. Russell Hall over on Rumble says 8 hours of Tomb Raider with no shorts is precisely what I'm talking about. Oh, is that? Oh. I get it now. What do you, Russell, what do you think of Magic Johnson's son? You think he's looking extra cute? Is this a wood for you, Russell? I mean, this is alarming to me. Like, what is going on with all these trans kids? Well, I don't even think this is a kid anymore. How old is he? Let's look this up. I feel like I need to look this up now. Magic Johnson son. His name is EJ. Dear Lord. How old is EJ? EJ is 33 years old. I had no idea, you guys. I honestly didn't know. Here's EJ in another weird outfit. I guess he's just very like that. Oh, how lovely. How very lovely. I guess, is she gonna join the WNBA or? I think I should just really move on from this subject. Russell Hall for $1 says, I think Magic Johnson and his son are both going to be HIV positive before long. Oh no, Russell. That's terrible. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's just terrible. Oh, I saw something really gross that I should show you guys. I was like, ugh. And I should probably show you because I saw it, so you should probably see it too. Where was it? Don't worry, it's entertainment related. It's not war related. Next week we'll talk about the Oscars with Dante because I did watch it. Where is this thing that I want to show you guys? Hold on. I'm just like going through my feed. I thought I had it bookmarked, but I didn't bookmark it. I just saw a meme and I was like, everybody's talking about this. Okay, hold on. Okay, I found this thing that I was going to tell you about. Okay. This is disgusting. Objectively fucking gross. This is Lisa Rinna's dress that's made from human hair. I mean, people freak out if they have like a strand of hair like near their plate or like in their food. And this chick is just like, okay, let me just get a dress for the Oscar party that was made with 11 pounds of human hair. Why? I mean, it's so crazy because like people use human hair to make like wigs for cancer patients and stuff. Like you can use human hair to like make like actual wigs, you know, so that like cancer patients have like better looking wigs. Like it's not like plastic, it's like actual hair. So like, but this bitch's going around making like custom made dresses with human hair. Why? Like, why would you do this? And I don't know. It's just I feel like this is just so gross. This is just so like typical Hollywood. It's just so typical, like it's just so out of touch with reality. Yes, it's hair. The dress is made out of hair. Here, let's see if I can like pull up a better picture of it. Lisa Rinna hair dress. That's so gross. Why would anyone do this? Why would anyone do this, you guys? Here it is. It's a dress made out of hair. Let me show you guys this dress. Ugh. It just makes me sick. I'm like, ugh. Ah, look at the bottom of this dress. Oh my God, it's so gross. Ugh. Ah, can you imagine? Ugh, sick. It's sick. Look at this. This is fucking weird, man. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Seriously. But it's also such a waste. Like you could actually help like cancer patients with this hair. But instead, this bitch is making a freaking dress. It's freaking gross. It's so disgusting. So out of touch with reality. Like always. Blech. I just looked at the hairdress again. It's so gross. Just it gives me the it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Russell Hall for $1 says, let's have a look at Gwyneth Paltrow's dress. Why? What happened? At which party? The Vanity Fair one? Gwyneth Paltrow. What does she wear? Which dress? Oh, that dress. Of course, Russell wants to watch this dress. Okay, hold on. Let me bring it up. Here it is. I think there's videos of her walking around in it. Don't pull it up. Why is it gonna get me banned? It's just her side. Is it really gonna get me banned? Okay, I won't pull it up. It doesn't really show anything. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fine because it doesn't really show anything. She's fully covered. It's just a weird dress. It's like here's her dress. It's like she's just like the slit goes way too far up. So it's a weird dress. Like I get that you want to do the slit, but it's like it's too far. So I think that's the issue. I don't think it's gonna have a problem with YouTube though, because it's like it's not showing your boobs. It's not showing you, she didn't even show ass on that. I think it's the weird part is Russell is like I thought that I would get more in trouble for that, Sydney Sweeney dress. You know the one that she was using you could see her nips. That one I was like, I don't even think we could show this on YouTube because on YouTube you get banned for showing nip. But the Gwyneth Paltrow one, for the most part, it's pretty PG, in terms of YouTube. Because especially depending on what angle you're showing it at, it's you're not seeing her full ass in there. But the Sydney Sweeney dress, that was you could just full on see her titties. But it was everywhere. That was actually kind of surprising. That you could show that. Speaking of Sydney Sweeney, here's a really funny meme I just came across while I was looking for that hairdress. It says Trump's promises, Trump's actual presidency. Come on, it's funny. It's funny now, guys. We're gonna have to make fun of it. Because if we don't laugh, we're gonna cry. So we might as well laugh, okay? Russell Hall for $1. Thank you over on Rumble. Says, I keep seeing comments about a wardrobe malfunction and they made it look like she had a pussy slip. Now I feel cheated by the mainstream press. Oh no, that was just a dress. It was just the dress was it just went way too the slit went way too far up. No, there was no wardrobe malfunction. It was very, very much on purpose. I'm glad to be of service to provide you with the truth. This is breaking the narrative. I'm so glad that I broke the narrative for you in terms of Gwyneth Paltrow's some type of slip that she may have had. Do you imagine if it was Wendy? Yeah, I know that would not have been good. Truth about gooning. Oh no. Oh my god. You guys are funny. So we're keeping that one for Friday. We're keeping that one for Friday. That one is gonna be. There's gonna be look. Russell Hall's been spotted. We're keeping that one for Friday. I'm gonna go look up some AI deepfakes. Oh man, that's funny. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Yeah, we got it's okay, Russell. You don't have to worry about it. It's all good. Yeah, everybody come and join us on Friday afternoon because we have a video of Russell Hall spotted in the wilds. It's fantastic. It's a really good video. I was like, seems like Russell. Seems like Russell be wrestling. Oh, good times. Good times. Let's see. Do I have anything else to run by you guys before I go? I had a bunch of Oscar stuff saved, but I'm gonna wait for Verbal to come so we can talk about the Oscar stuff next week. I saw a lot of stuff that I was like, what is going on? Oh my God, this was kind of funny. So apparently Ben Stiller like launched a soda line and he made like a public appearance at a grocery store and like literally nobody was stopping by. So here he is. This is Ben Stiller trying to like he's trying to promote his Stiller soda and he's just like standing there at the grocery store waiting for people to come by to like taste his soda. Like he's trying to sample them. And then he realizes somebody's taping him. So he just turns around and he's like, oh, hey. But it turns out nobody really cares about celebrity sodas, apparently. Nobody gives a shit, Ben. Nobody gives a shit. So that was funny. It's like he just like seems like such a loser. I don't know why this is funny. Yeah, do we really need another soda line? I don't think so. I don't think so. Does he look weird? I thought he looked a little weird too. But maybe it's because he's tired from like standing in a grocery store. Russell Hall for $1 over on Rumble says, was I wearing pants because it's been very cold lately. Yeah, you were wearing pants. You were wearing something, all right. I can't wait to show you this. Russell Hall for $1 also says, what kind of full-grown man has these soda offerings named after them and then none of them is a Shirley Temple? Wait, why would it be a Shirley Temple? Wait, what? What kind of full-grown man has 3 soda offerings named after them and one of them is Shirley Temple? Wait, is one of them a Shirley Temple? That's bad. I don't know what to say to that. He looks like such a dork. Russell Hall says for $1 over on Rumble, oh, well, if I was wearing pants, then that's probably not me. You were wearing something. Let's just say that. Oh, it's the pink one? Okay. Oh my God. What a loser. This dude has like one of the highest grossing like shows right now on Apple and Severance. Like highest costing, like highest everything. Like it's a very expensive show. And he's like, let me make a Shirley Temple soda at the same time. I don't know. That's a weird thing to do. It's a weird thing. It's weird. He's weird. He's weird. It's a weird thing to do. Oh, you guys. I just like went on Twitter for a second to see if I have anything else to talk to you about. And this jumped out. It says Time Magazine, Punch of Japan, the most famous monkey in Ichikawa Zoological and Botanical Garden. Oh, you guys. I heard he made a friend. We're going to be talking about that on Friday. He made a friend. There's videos of him with his new friend. Should we show you one? Okay, let's show you a Punch the Monkey video before I wrap this show up. We have to give you a little thing for a little taste for what's coming up on Friday. He's got a little friend. He's got a little friend. I have to mute it. Look, you guys. Spring is in the air. Oh. They're so cute. They're monkeying around. Oh. I love monkeys. They're so cute. They're in love. I love monkeys. All right. Well, you guys get the idea. So come and hang out with me on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern when I talk about good news and try and balance out this crazy show and balance out the world because we're going through a lot of crazy stuff right now. So we got to keep each other sane. We have to keep each other sane. So come and hang out with me. Russell Hall is usually in the chat, so he will give me problems, but that's fine. Speaking of which, he just sent in $1 over on Rumble. Says the little one is called Spank. Oh, Punch and Spank. That's so cute. Is he actually, or are you just fucking with me? Oh, Mo and Punch BFFs. Are they? Is it Mo? That's too cute. Okay. He's lying. It's Mo. Liar. God, Russell, quit lying to everyone. What a liar. That's why I don't ever believe you when you tell me the truth. Because you're always lying. Why you always lying? What is that song? That's a good song. Anyways. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Special thanks to Robert Barnes for coming on the show tonight. I should definitely have him back on soon again to talk more updates about the Iran war. I'm sure we will get there. Hopefully this war won't last that long though. So if he comes back, we'll talk about other things. But he's a really awesome guy. So definitely gonna have him on again. But thank you, Robert, for coming on. And make sure you check out his show, his channel, Viva and Barnes. I think it's .locals.net. And so just check him out on Locals, Viva Barnes. And they have a show on YouTube, Viva Barnes, and on Rumble as well. So make sure you guys check them out. And of course, you can check me out on Rumble and all across the platforms at Nina Infinity. And also make sure you guys smash like, leave a comment, especially leave a comment after the show. Let everyone know. And of course, the YouTube algorithms that you enjoyed the show. Smash the like and all that stuff. Thank you very much. And special thanks to those of you who super chatted, became a member, gifted memberships, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and the way that you do. And I'm going to try my best to keep sane among this madness. So you guys do too. And we're in it for the ride, guys. We're in it for the ride. you know, peace or war, we're going to get through it together. Okay? Have fun, everybody. See you next time. Bye.